touchdown. And he flips the ball to Rowdy to do with what he will.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and today we're going to get into 6 forgotten players for 2025 fantasy football. 6 players that I think are just a little too shallow on the ADPs this year. Guys that were second, third round picks in years past, and now they're down here and they're buried. And some of these guys actually had pretty good performances last year, but the consensus just failed to adjust, and they have kept them down in their 8th, 9th round ranking. So let's hop right into it, and starting right off the bat with the player that I don't think anybody's forgotten necessarily, but the shine is wearing off, Mr. Marvin Harrison Jr. And, you know, you talk about a guy, finished wide receiver 39 last year. The production wasn't compared to that talent. That talent was, oh my God. I mean, this guy is going to be the next. He's going to be like his father. He's going to be the next best thing since sliced bread. He's going to be the best receiver in the league eventually. And, you know, he was being drafted in the bottom end of the first round last year. That was a complete overdraft. I was telling you guys, do not make that draft pick. If anything, he was more the middle of the second round type of guy, and not a guy that I was really anchoring my team with. I just think that's too much for a rookie, and you know, he really hasn't figured out the game yet. And going into another season, okay, where he doesn't have to go through the combine or any of the, you know, hurdles in the offseason of just becoming a pro. He's going into his years 2. He's being trained by Larry Fitzgerald and his dad, Marvin Harrison. I think he's going to be a lot better, where you can get him in the 4th round this year compared to last year where you had to take him 1st, 2nd round. So the reasons for why he didn't do too well last year, in my opinion, I think not only just the rookie, you know, hurdle, because we can't really use that excuse when we saw, you know, Malik Neighbors in New York, who didn't have any good quarterback play, and he was able to produce very solid numbers. Granted, I just think Malik Neighbors is a better player, and I said that last year. I remember coming out on the Dynasty podcast in 2024. So, you know, I'm going to give myself a little credit for that. But I just think they were trying to make him too much of a vertical player. When I watched the Cardinals last year, I just saw him going deep on every single play, it felt like. And not to say that with his big body you can't run him vertical, but just way too much of, you know, his true game is, you know, intermediate. You know, running those digs, running those slants, crossers, stuff like that. I mean, get him open and get him into space. He's not really a all-around bona fide deep threat. He can do that, but I just felt like the Cardinals were making him too much to be, you know, that one-dimensional deep threat. And, you know, when you factor it in the quarterback that they have, I mean, Kyler Murray's not going to see him down the field. I mean, he's just not. I mean, so you wonder why his targets were so damn low to start the year. He can't see him. Okay, and it's not because, you know, it's not like Marvin Harrison's too short. Kyler Murray's too short. He's 5'8" tops. He's not going to see him running open down the field, you know, 40 yards from him. It's just, it's literally not in his arsenal. I mean, that's why Kyler Murray's never been a prolific passer down the field. I mean, everybody said, oh, he's got the talent. He's got talent to do it. I mean, I'm not saying he can't throw a football down the field. It's when you get on 11 on 11 and when there's a rush on him, he can't see that receiver running down the field. So that's why Trey McBride was, you know, had 190 targets last year or whatever it was. And I honestly think another year will happen where Trey McBride's going to lead the team in targets by a mile, which is why he's a 2nd, 3rd round pick this year. But this is only his 2nd year, and I thought in the back end of last year, the coaching staff made a little bit of an adjustment, and you saw his numbers go up. The first half of the year was rough. I think he was in wide receivers. I don't have the numbers exactly in front of me, but in wide receiver 20s through the last half of the year. So for a 4th round pick, I think this is a guy that you're going to get a good bang for the buck this year. Last year, way too much of an overdraft. I know the shine is wearing off, which is probably why you're getting a little bit of a discount, but I'm in on Marvin Harrison this year for this price. Last year I was out on him, even though it was hard not to pick him just because it's a new player. You never seen him. It's fun. It's exciting. But this year I think it's a lot more reasonable for Marvin Harrison. Next player I'm going to talk about is Tank Bigsby on the Jaguars. I mean, we're not forgotten. Tank Bigsby's a pretty darn good player. Finished last year with 4.6 yards per carry, which was the league leading yards per attempt out of all rushers with at least 60 carries. So this guy is, he's the number one in efficiency just off plain statistics, and pretty good after yards after contact. From what I have here, he's ranking third in the entire league at yards after contact. So 46 missed tackles. That's 13th most in the league. This guy is a really, really good player. And now you're getting him in the 11th, 12th round at a cheap price once again. And, I know that they basically are back to a crowded backfield in Jacksonville. They have the rookie Basil Tootin, who I actually like as well. And then ETN's going into a contract here, and he's still penciled in as a starter. But I think when it comes to two things, this is why Tank Bigsby is going to be the most efficient back, and I think the highest scoring back this year in Jacksonville. Number one, the goal line. I mean, ETN's not a goal line back, and this kid Tootin, he's not a goal line back. Tank Bigsby is the goal line back, and Trevor Lawrence is not really a guy that's going to run. I mean, he could run a sneak, but, I mean, with how skinny he is, he's not really moving the pile at all. Tank Bigsby is a guy that could push the pile and get you in on the end zone, those, 1-2 yards out. He's going to be the goal line back. And, that's probably the most important thing when you're looking at running backs, trying to decipher between this guy or this guy is, that 6-point difference with the goal line back. Now, another thing you could, make the argument for the other guys is, the receiving is there for them where it might not be for Bigsby, and that's completely fine. Even though when you look at Bigsby's profile, just, raw numbers, I mean, he's got a similar profile to Bucky Irving. Bucky Irving's a little bit lighter, but, Bigsby was a 4.4 guy. So, it's not like he's some Jordan Mason type player. I mean, Bigsby can move. If you watch him last year, this guy can get, when he's in space, I mean, he could really turn on the jets and take off. You look at just going back to the numbers, look at the efficiency with this guy. 4.6 yards per carry. This guy is a very, very efficient back. And the only thing that's really keeping him in the way is just the fact that he's in a crowded backfield. Now, I'll make the same argument for him that I also made for Basil Tootin. They're going to rotate the backs in Jacksonville, knowing what Liam Cohen went down to Tampa Bay and did the same thing with them last year, because they had Rashad White and they had Irving and they had the running back from Syracuse. They rotated all three of those guys. I mean, with this running back core, I would definitely rotate all three of these guys because each one of them can make an impact. So all three are technically draftable for fantasy, and I think Tank Bigsby is a guy that he has a way to separate himself from the pack just because he brings a different skill set than the other two. The other two kind of bring a similar skill set. Next player I want to get into that's a little bit forgotten is Rhamondre Stevenson, who's now in that same range as Bigsby, going in the 11th to 12th round, coming off a monster 2022 season where he flourished, killed his projections, had a big draft pick going into, third, fourth round pick status going into 2023. Did a pretty good job there as well. And then 2024 was a little bit of a disappointment. Fumbling issues, career low in YPC, 3.9. And then also got hurt a little bit, missed like 4 or 5 games due to injury. So, now he's back down with 11th to 12th round ADP, and then you factor in that New England Patriots also selected Travion Henderson in the second round, so there's going to be added competition this year. Last year they were already calling Antonio Gibson competition, so now they have Travion Henderson in the backfield as well. You combine all those factors, and that's why he's down to the 11th to 12th round, but I think that's a little bit too much. Why he's a value this year, I mean, this is an entirely new offense this year, guys. I mean, I know they're bringing in McDaniels, so it's not that new, but McDaniels did coach him, I think, for 1 year before he took the Raiders job, if I'm not mistaken. So, he knows this guy. I think he had a selection in drafting him. So, this is a player that he's very familiar with. He could trust, and he knows that he's going to execute pass pro and execute all the assignments that he wants him to do. And they are going to be, I mean, when you look at a Mike Vrabel team, they're going to be a downhill running team. I mean, that's what Mike Vrabel was when he was with Tennessee with Derrick Henry. And no, I'm not saying that Rhamondre Stevenson is Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's a Hall of Fame player. I'm not saying that. Okay, just to make that clear. But he wants a big downhill back. And Travion Henderson is going to definitely have a role in his own right in being more the elusive passing game back. But Mike Vrabel is not a guy that wants to get in nickel and, do 3 receivers all the time. He's a guy that wants to get in ISO, get the quarterback under center and pound you. And, especially in New England where you get in those November, December games in those cold environments, he's going to want to run the ball 20, 25 times. I mean, you look at that game, that he lost, when he brought back Derrick Henry too early. I think it was against the Bengals in the playoffs. I mean, he was running the ball like 30 times in that game. And that was Derrick Henry was coming off an ACL injury. So, I mean, you want to talk about, he loves running the football. So this, to me, Rhamondre Stevenson is the back to do it. And then number 2, he's getting paid a lot of money. I mean, they're not going to wipe that contract anytime soon. I mean, at least for another couple of years. He's getting paid like $13-14 million a year. For a player that's being drafted that cheap, I don't think he's going to be sitting on the bench. He's going to be in a split, in my opinion, with TreVeyon Henderson. So, if anything, I'm a huge fan of TreVeyon Henderson, but I'm not really just all the way stocks up on Henderson, buying him at every single best ball draft, just because when there's usually a split, I like to go with the cheaper option. And Stevenson is the cheaper option in this case, and I think this is the more reasonable option. So, still an elite talent. I mean, I don't think Stevenson has just lost this game. I think, that whole team last year just completely lost their way because they had a clown as a head coach. But getting Mike Vrabel back as a head coach is going to get some more accountability in the building, get everybody, on their P's and Q's. And I think Stevenson is a player that, he's going to take well in a liking to Mike Vrabel's coaching, especially when he finds out, his philosophy of how he wants to play football in those November, December games. That's where he's going to come into a big factor. So keep an eye out for Rhamondre Stevenson. Once a 3rd round pick, you're getting him in the 11th round this year. I think that's a steal. The 4th player I want to get into is Josh Downs on the Colts, the slot machine. Josh Downs last year, was a really good player, and always been a fan of him coming out of North Carolina. A guy that I thought was better than a lot of receivers, in that 2023 class. And now going into year 3, has a season behind him where he was top 30. I think he was like 28 overall, I want to say, in points per game. So he's already shown that he could produce. And granted, now a lot of his big games last year were with Joe Flacco. And Anthony Richardson just wasn't quite the same. Anthony Richardson overall was one of the biggest disappointments last year in fantasy. So that's basically why he's an undrafted player right now. But the Colts made a little bit of a quarterback change in the offseason. Flacco goes to Cleveland, and then this year they go pick up Danny Dimes. And if anything, if you want Josh Downs to do well, you're probably going to be rooting for Danny Dimes this offseason to win the quarterback 1 job and go step in there and make plays with Josh Downs. Now, Danny Dimes is obviously, I've knocked him plenty of times in the past, but last year he was feeding Wan'Dale Robinson a lot of targets before he ended up going down for the year. And this is where Josh Downs, in my opinion, can step right into that same role and be way better, because I do think Josh Downs is a better player than Wan'Dale Robinson. In the games last year, if we're just doing a comparison from, Joe Flacco to Danny Dimes, kind of calling them the same player, even though Flacco, I think, is a better passer, sad to say, but Danny Dimes is 10 times the athlete, just because Flacco's been in the game much longer and he had to actually play against real defenses back in the day, so he can process a lot better. He had a 25% target share. 25%. He got a quarter of the team's targets and was averaging 15 points per game in PPR when Joe Flacco was a quarterback. That's a wide receiver 1 right there. And you're getting this guy in the 8th to 9th round. I saw him in the worldwide leader. You're getting him down in like the 12th, 13th round. That's a steal if you're getting him for that cheap. He's already, in my opinion, a great value in the 8th to 9th round on best ball drafts, but to get him down in the 12th round and a possibility, I think they'll come around as the summer comes on and make a correction on their ADPs, especially now that I said that. But to get him for that low is just an absolute steal. So really the only thing that's in the way with Josh Downs producing is what's the quarterback dilemma, who's going to be the quarterback 1. I think there's some sort of chemistry there with Anthony Richardson. It's just Anthony Richardson is not the guy that's going to stand in a pocket and make throws, make reads to the slot. That's just not his game. And it's kind of sad to say because I thought he had that potential, not to be a pocket passer, but to combine that with his dynamic athletic ability. It's simply not there. I think the coaches are starting to get a little fed up with it because, their jobs are on the line this year. They can't be messing around with that experiment anymore. So Anthony Richardson's leash is a little bit short, I'll say, this year, considering that Shane Steichen's job is on the line. And I could see them, even if Richardson wins the quarterback one job, I could see them eventually going to Danny Dimes down the line. And then, God forbid Anthony Richardson gets hurt. I mean, that could be another possibility. So we got to keep that in mind. Danny Dimes becomes the quarterback one here. I think we're looking at a really, really nice season with Josh Downs, assuming that he can produce the same sort of production that Joe Flacco did. And that's not really asking much on paper. And I think Danny Dimes overall will take to a liking of Josh Downs. I mean, talent-wise, Josh Downs is the best player, receiver on the Colts. I mean, Tyler Warren, I think, will make a case for that this year, but I think he's better than Pittman. I think he's better than A.D. Mitchell. He's better than Alec Pierce. And he can get open a lot easier than those guys. So keep an eye out for Josh Downs, guys. I think he's going a little too low this year. Next player I want to cover is Justin Herbert, last year, who finished as a quarterback 13 overall and only threw for a modest 3,800 yards and 23 touchdowns. The Chargers were the second to last team in passing attempts overall, which goes to show, why he's only throwing for that little yards and that little touchdowns. But, I mean, in my opinion, I thought Justin Herbert got better as the year went along under Jim Harbaugh's coaching. And Harbaugh's known to be a quarterback guru. He has a history of improving quarterbacks as they come along in their career. Kaepernick, Alex Smith, Andrew Luck at Stanford. Some of the Michigan quarterbacks didn't work out, but, he did. J.J. McCarthy was technically his project. So, you look at Justin Herbert, I think this is his next project where he's going to be on an ascending player going into this year. Weeks 7 through 18, Justin Herbert was quarterback 11 in fantasy. And, again, you're getting him for that same cheap price, 11th round. I mean, he'll probably come around as, the summer goes along. But, I have him right now with 120 overall on Underdog. So you're getting him 10th, 11th round for a very cheap price. And you look at this year's Charger team, I think they're going to have to play a little bit different. Number one, I think the volume is going to go up. This Charger defense is not looking too good. I mean, they just really, they lost Joey Bosa. They don't really have any premier edge rusher. Khalil Mack is, 35 years old. I don't even know if Khalil Mack is still there, to be honest with you. Corner's looking a little rough. I mean, Derwin James is really all they got on that defense. And I think that defense is going to be playing, they're going to be falling behind a lot. And the Chargers are going to have to pass the ball. They want to be a team that's going to run the ball, obviously get under center with Hampton, try to possess the ball. But, when you get down 14 points, that's eventually going to have to go out the window. And that's where Justin Herbert's arm is going to be relied on. Efficiency is going to be at an all-time high, I think, this year as well. Justin Herbert last year had a career high 7.7 yards per attempt. I just think, again, that goes to, Harbaugh's coaching came into factor with this. And, he has a way of teaching his players how to be a better quarterback, whether it's the reads, whether it's the mechanics. They're just a way that Harbaugh has. I don't know if it's pixie dust, for Christ's sake, but he makes his quarterbacks better. And I thought that, it showed last year with Justin Herbert. And lastly, look at the weapons. This is probably Herbert's best supporting cast of weapons. Obviously, your number one this year is Ladd McConkey, but the back end of the receiver depth with, Trey Harris, the rookie, and Quentin Johnson, if he can ever get going, it's a pretty nice 3 receivers to start the year. Obviously, they're trying to, I saw, recently they're trying to bring back Keenan Allen. I don't know if that'll help, but it's another familiar target for Justin Herbert, so I could see that helping. And then Amarion Hampton might be able to do a little bit out of the backfield when it comes to receiving. So overall, it's a pretty nice array of talent around Justin Herbert offensively to go make some plays. And as long as they die away a little bit from this run-heavy approach, and, I think they're going to be played into that. I don't think Harbaugh necessarily wants to do that, but they're going to be played into a more pass-heavy approach because they're going to be falling behind in games due to their defense. So always target quarterbacks, passing games with bad defenses, because these are usually the teams last year like Cincinnati, who's basically in a track meet every single game. It could be the Tennessee Titans. They're still in a track meet because their defense was so bad. Those are the type of teams that you want to target for fantasy, because that's where the points happen. So I think the Chargers this year are going to be in that circle, and I definitely want all Chargers stock, and I want Justin Herbert on my fantasy team. And the last player that I want to cover is Chris Olave on the Saints. Chris Olave last year finished as a wide receiver 33 after going down after game 6 or 7 of the year and missing the rest of the season last year. Has had 4 concussions to this point, and only played, he only played in 8 games last year. He had 2 concussions last year, 4 concussions for his career in total. Despite the poor output, his underlying metrics remain strong. Chris Olave, 87th percentile success rate versus man coverage. Very, very efficient route runner. Always been an efficient route runner coming from Ohio State. Seems like everybody out of that school is an efficient route runner. And has exceeded 1,000 yards every single year he's been in the NFL. So this guy is someone who you're getting in the 6th round this year, 7th round on some platforms, but mainly in the 6th round I've seen, who has been a 2nd, 3rd round pick for the last couple of years, who you have to invest high draft capital on. And I know the Saints quarterback has taken a significant hit with the rookie, but you look at the Saints this year, yes, they're going to stink, but this might be the one positive aspect for them. They're going to be behind in every single game, so they're going to have to pass the football. And this right here is the wide receiver 1. Now, I'm not too low on Tyler Show or Shuck, or however you say his name, compared to everyone else out there. I don't think he's going to be some superstar, but I think he'll be a manageable. I've said this before. Maybe it's probably a lazy comparison, but I think he's going to be like a Brock Purdy type quarterback. Now, New Orleans doesn't have that system that San Francisco does, and I don't think Kellen Moore is really going to install anything crazy. I think Kellen Moore, one positive thing that I think he'll do for fantasy owners is he's going to play fast. Kellen Moore just wants to run plays. So he never wants to. That's why they fired him from Dallas, is he didn't want to play possession ball. He wanted to just run as many plays as he could, pass plays, run plays, doesn't matter. Stuff the stat sheet. Now as a head coach, he might change a little bit on that, but Kellen Moore wants to run an up-tempo offense. The Cowboys, one of the top-paced offense. The Chargers, when he was the OC, one of the top-paced offenses in the entire league. Filthy, not so much, because they had that run game going with Barkley, but to their credit, it was a really good offense. They schemed it up in a way that was perfect for them. So, Kellen Moore has had a positive impact. Okay, as much as I knock him personally, the guy has had a positive impact wherever he's went, and I think that he can bring some sort of spark to the New Orleans Saints offense. But going back to Chris Olave, this guy is, when you take, the concussions is probably the thing that worries me the most. It's not the fact that the Saints suck, because I think that actually happened. That's going to help him in this case since they're going to be behind. It's not the fact that it's a rookie quarterback, because Derek Carr wasn't that great of a quarterback, even though he was able to supply his fantasy receivers. He wasn't that great of a quarterback. It's probably the concussions, okay? 4 concussions, in his entire career. you're on the same path as Tua in Miami. So that's really something I'm worried about. But you take that aside, this guy is a clear-cut wide receiver 1 elite talent that you're going to get in the 6th round, and he only has to get 1,000 yards to justify his projection. Okay, he's going to be your wide receiver 3 this year, guys. Olave has never been a wide receiver 3, I guess maybe since his rookie year. I forget his rookie ADP at this point, but these past couple years, when you were drafting Olave, you were projecting him to be your wide receiver 1. Okay, that's not the case anymore. All he's got to do is hit that wide receiver 3 threshold, and he's in the green for you. Okay, you're going to have 2 other guys, for some of you 0 RB guys out there, you might have 3 other guys ahead of him. Okay, but that's not really asking a lot for this guy who's already shown that he could hit 1,000 yards every single year. He didn't do it last year because he got hurt, but he easily would have hit 1,000 yards had he stayed healthy. So I think this is a guy that you're getting for an absolute steal. The only red flag on him is the concussions, but granted, it just is what it is. Okay, I'm willing to take that risk in the 6th round on a talent like Chris Olave. I think the quarterback for the Saints will get a lot better as the year goes along. So I definitely see him crossing 1,000 yards if he stays healthy and crushing his 60 overall ADP where he's at. So there you guys have it. Those are 6 forgotten players for 2025 fantasy football. Again, if you haven't already, make sure you go down and link in the description, ShowtimeFFantasy.com. Go ahead and grab you the 2025 Showtime Fantasy Draft Guide. $20, guys. Okay, $20 to beat your buddies. If that's too much for you, I'm sorry, but in my opinion, guys, go ahead and grab my draft guide for $20, and then go grab 3 guys that you follow. I mean, I'm not the only content creator you follow for fantasy. Okay, there's other guys out there. Go grab your other favorite guys. Go grab their draft guide, draft rankings, whatever. Go grab my rankings. Compare and contrast. Make the executive decision. That's the best way to do this, in my opinion. Okay, that's why I made it $20. I want you guys to grab mine and then go grab someone else's and then make the executive decision yourself, because I'm not saying my opinion is the best and, I'm the only opinion you should follow. No, there's other guys out there that do the work. They do the research. Okay, they have opinions as well. Go grab their rankings and combine them with mine. There you go. There's your master consensus rankings that you could take into your league with your buddies and dominate the competition. Okay, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Until then, peace.